Here we have a list of problems from question number 22 to question number 29 dealing with trigonometric functions here. And so again, we have to evaluate these functions. Again, if you have memorized your unit circle, you understand the unit circle conceptually, this is a good review to see if you have mastered those skills over here. So let's look at the first one, cosine of 5 pi over 6. Right, we know that this is in quadrant number 2, right? We know that the reference angle is pi over 6. Cosine of pi over 6 is root 3 over 2. However, this is in the second quadrant, right, where it's all students take calculus. Therefore, you will have negative root 3 over 2 because cosine in the second quadrant is negative. Then you have sine of 3 pi over 2. So, take a picture or try to imagine this. So you have 3 pi over 2, right? That will be somewhere here, right? So we're looking at the y-coordinate at this at a point over here, right? So if I want to make this clearer, again, you should have it memorized. But if you do get confused or something like that, so you know that this point over here, right? This is obviously 90, 180, 270 degrees. So we're looking at a point over here. Now, obviously, sine refers to the y-coordinate at that point. So that will be -1. Right, because this point over here is 0, -1 for a unit circle. Then we have tangent of 5 pi over 4. You know the reference angle here is pi over 4, right? So tangent of pi over 4 is obviously 1, right? And because we know 5 pi over 4 is in the third quadrant where tangent is anyways positive, question number 24, tangent of 5 pi over 4, that will give us the value of +1. Then we have question number 25 here. Determine sine of 7 pi over 4. So we know that the reference angle here is pi over 4. We know that sine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. However, we know this is in quadrant 4 where only cosine is positive. Therefore, this value over here, sine of 7 pi over 4, must be negative root 2 divided by 2. Now we have question number 26, determine cosine of pi. Again, cosine of pi would be somewhere here. You can make that judgment over there that it's going to be somewhere here. And you know that cosine of any angle, again, is referring to that x-coordinate of this point over here. So x-coordinate here is obviously this point over here is -1, 0. You can make that idea. And so you know that cosine of pi then must be -1 because it's referring to the x-coordinate of this point over here, -1, 0. So your answer of cosine of pi is -1. Now you have question number 27. Say it's a tangent of 2 pi over 3. So with the reference angle, again, you know tangent of pi over 3 is root 3, right? And so now you're looking at 2 pi over 3. Well, 2 pi over 3 is in quadrant number 2, where tangent is negative. So tangent of 2 pi over 3 must be negative root 3. Negative root 3, right? Negative root 3. And then question number 28. It states that secant of 4 pi over 3. So now, again, if you haven't memorized these, you really don't even have to memorize these. Think about the reciprocal trigonometric function for this. Obviously, that is cosine. So cosine of 4 pi over 3, right? So you know the reference angle here is pi over 3, right? Cosine of pi over 3 is 1/2. And we are looking at 4 pi over 3, right, which is in quadrant 3, right? That's where cosine is negative. So we know that cosine of 4 pi over 3 must be -1/2. Now this is secant, which must be its reciprocal. Therefore, your answer here must be the reciprocal of -1/2, which is -2. So this is -2 here. And our last and final question here, question number 29, cosecant of pi over 4, right? So we are looking at the sine, right? Sine of pi over 4. So you know sine of pi over 4 here is root 2 over 2, and that's just a reciprocal of that. So bringing that down, we have that is equal to 2 divided by root 2, but you obviously want to rationalize your denominator. So we multiply this by root 2 divided by root 2, right? And then we get 2 times root 2 divided by 2, and so the 2 and 2 cancel off, and so we're left with cosecant of pi over 4 is equal to root 2. So here we just have solved or evaluated the trigonometric functions over here, and again, as you memorize your unit circle and practice more, these should become easy. So thanks for watching.